Hello and welcome. So today we will be putting yet another fragrance house under the spotlight. And today it is all about Bond number 9. Typically, I start this type of video by giving you quite a bit of detail around the fragrance house and the brand itself. But being that we're talking about Bond number 9, I have another video which I will link right up here where I reviewed one of the fragrances from Bond number 9, Chelsea Nights, and I start that video by talking about the brand. So today I will just be sharing with you all of the Bond number 9 fragrances that I have in my collection. I have a total of 10 and I will be sharing notes, giving you some thoughts that I have on each, and of course I will be ranking them for you as we go along. I will start with my least favorite and go all the way up to my most favorite of all. Now I do want you to understand that I typically don't keep fragrances in my collection that I don't absolutely love and that I look forward to pulling every so often. So all 10 fragrances really are fragrances that I absolutely love and that I can't see myself parting with. But being that you do want me to give you a ranking, I worked very hard on this and it was really difficult to rank them, but I am going to rank them for you. But before we jump right in, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and in this channel we love to talk about fragrances, makeup, and fashion. I upload videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. If that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in, and that sounds like a good plan, well then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave a comment. Let's go. So the first fragrance that I'm going to share with you today and coming in at number 10 is Perfumista Avenue. Perfumista Avenue is a lovely amber floral fragrance that was launched to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Bond number 9. So, of course, you can imagine this is a very special fragrance. This fragrance is a floral fragrance that you can use during any season of the year and during day or night occasions. This is one that I definitely dress up or dress down. This is a fragrance that opens with quite a bit of rose. It's warm, spicy, but at the same time, it has like this fresh quality to it. It has a touch of woodiness and it has a beautiful touch of patchouli that is typically in the background of that rose. Although this is definitely an amber floral fragrance, I would say that the rose really takes front and center in this fragrance with that very smooth patchouli in the background and hints of that woodiness, giving this fragrance quite a bit of character. At the dry down, you also pick up on a tad bit of fruitiness and it is definitely powdery. The next fragrance on my list and coming in at number 9 is Chinatown. Now, Chinatown is also an amber floral fragrance, but there's quite a difference here because this fragrance opens with quite a bit of white florals. To my nose, this fragrance is all about the white florals and touches of woodiness, but the woodiness is not as demure as in Perfumista. Here, that woodiness is a bit more prominent, but not quite overwhelming. This fragrance is also warm and spicy with a good bit of vanilla. I would say that the floral note that sticks out the most in this fragrance is the note of tuberose. So I really recommend that you either get your nose on it if you're not sure if you like tuberose or not, or if you're a tuberose lover, I think you will definitely like this fragrance. The tuberose doesn't take front and center. It's just that when it comes in, like towards the middle of the journey, the tuberose is definitely present, but it plays very well with all the other white florals and with those woody notes that I mentioned before. This fragrance is also a bit tad animalic, which gives this fragrance kind of like an edge. This is an absolutely beautiful fragrance that I love to wear for any occasion. You can pull this for day or night occasions and all throughout the year. During the summer, I tend not to pull Chinatown as much as others, but it is definitely one that you could use during that season also. The next fragrance on my list, and coming in at number 8, is Madison Avenue. Madison Avenue is a lovely chypre floral fragrance. I tend to reserve this fragrance for the spring and summer seasons and use it primarily for daytime occasions. This fragrance opens with quite a bit of fruitiness. There's definitely a very beautiful rose, but for my nose, it's more about all those other fruits. The fruits to my nose take front and center, and the rose is typically in the background. It is sweet, citrusy, with a touch of patchouli, which is actually less than the patchouli that we find in Chinatown. It is sweet with some citruses and touches of woodiness. But at the same time, it's fresh and has some beautiful white florals that you start to pick up midway along the journey to dry down, and then at the dry down, they're definitely present. It's not an overwhelming fragrance as it relates to the white florals or the rose. I find that, again, to my nose, it's more about the fruitiness, but all of the florals play around those fruity notes. It is truly a fragrance that I absolutely love to wear during the spring and summer seasons. And like I said before, I just think it's more of a daytime fragrance. This is not one that I would use for formal spring, summer, nighttime occasions or anything like that. But this is truly a lovely, lovely floral fragrance. The next fragrance that I want to share with you, and coming in at number 7, is New York Nights. New York Nights is an amber vanilla fragrance that I absolutely love. This is a fragrance that I recommend for the spring, fall, and winter seasons. This is not one that I typically pull during the summer. And if I do, it's typically for some sort of night occasion. But this is a fragrance that you could very well use during the day or during the night, during spring, fall, and winter. This fragrance opens with a beautiful, beautiful note of caramel. And the caramel is quite prominent in that opening. It is warm, spicy, with some coffee and touches of woodiness. Midway throughout the journey, you're going to pick up on some florals and a tad touch of patchouli. I would say that I really didn't pick up on the patchouli in this fragrance till I had probably used it 4 or 5 times. It is a very, very faint, at least to my nose, note of patchouli. You definitely have some white florals and you have some rose. It is also sweet, but not too sweet, and it has a balsamic quality to it. Coming in at number 6 is a fragrance that I think is going to surprise you a bit that I ranked in the number 6 spot, as this fragrance is one of the most popular fragrances in the entire Bond Number 9 collection. This is also a fragrance that I consider to be quite versatile. I am referring to Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village is definitely a beautiful fragrance. This is an amber floral fragrance, and I consider it to be one of the most versatile fragrances in my entire collection. The love that this fragrance has received from fragrance lovers, I think, is quite worthy. This is a versatile fragrance that you can use during any season of the year, day or night. It is sweet with some fruity notes and florals. It is also, interestingly enough, musky, but at the same time, there's this freshness to it. There's some vanilla and citruses and has a powdery dry down. This fragrance is truly one that, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with. It is an absolute delight to have in your collection and to be able to pull. This is one of those fragrances that when in doubt, you can always go to. This one and the next one that's coming up. Coming in at number 5 is one of the most loved fragrances from the entire collection of Bond number 9. And I am talking about Tribeca. I'm sure that my placing this fragrance in the number 5 spot comes as a surprise to many of you. But remember, all of these fragrances are true loves for me. Tribeca is an amber vanilla fragrance that is quite ambery and also opens with quite a bit of caramel. It is woody, nutty, sweet with some cacao and beautiful white florals. The white florals have been balanced impeccably with the rest of the notes in this fragrance. There's also a touch of like muskiness and definitely a mossy type of quality to it. Even though I have this fragrance in the number 5 spot, I can tell you that I'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't think that this is a lovely fragrance. This is definitely an asset if you have it in your collection. This is one of the easiest fragrances to pull for any occasion, any season of the year. It has great performance, and to my nose, it definitely leans more to the feminine side. So we have 4 more fragrances to go, and I'm sure you're already a bit shocked with some of the selections up to this point, but I think you're just going to be even more shocked as I continue. Coming in at number 4 is the newest Bond number 9 fragrance in my collection. And yes, I am talking about Chelsea Nights. Chelsea Nights is a fragrance that is quite new to my collection, but that has really earned its spot. I absolutely love this fragrance. This is a fragrance with quite a bit of character. There's just something about it that really makes me want to pull her all the time. This fragrance is one that I really would reserve more for the fall and winter seasons and maybe the beginning of spring. But this is not a fragrance that I would pull towards the end of the spring or for sure not during the summer. This is described by Bond as an amber vanilla fragrance. It is such an incredible fragrance. It is quite complex too. It is warm, spicy, with some cacao, some woody notes, some leather, patchouli. There's just such a collection of notes in this fragrance. There's also some oud here, but it's not a skanky or a too intense oud note. It is just right. It's actually like the necessary amount to make its mark with all the other notes involved in this fragrance. It is sweet, but not too sweet, and it definitely has a very ambery feel to it. This is definitely one of my top recommendations from Bond because it is truly such a different fragrance with so many notes that could have gone wrong as they're all quite intense. I mean, think about it. You have oud, you have leather, you have woodiness. There's just quite a bit here. Chelsea Nights is also a fragrance that gets me compliments every time I wear it. And this is also a fragrance that I would use during the day, during the night, for any occasion, during the fall and winter seasons primarily, and again, maybe the beginning of spring. Truly one of my favorite fragrances from this house. I definitely consider this to be one of the fragrances that has the most character in their entire range of fragrances. And I'm speaking about Nomad. Nomad happens to be the fragrance that gets me the most compliments out of all of my Bond number 9 fragrances. It is considered an amber floral fragrance, but to my nose, it opens with quite a bit of fruitiness. And it has quite a bit of rose also. It also has a note of oud that I can pick up on much easier and sooner in the journey than with, for example, Chelsea Nights. It is sweet with an aquatic quality to it, and of course, there's that beautiful vanilla. In addition to the rose, there are some other florals in here, and at the dry down, it does become powdery. To me, this is truly a unisex fragrance, but if I had to pick a lean, I would say that it leans a tad feminine. But truly, I can see a man or a woman using this fragrance. So coming in at number 2 is Bleu Street. I know that this may come as a surprise to many of you, but I absolutely love this fragrance. Whenever I spray this fragrance, I can't stop using it throughout the week. Like I keep pulling on it. This is such an addictive fragrance. Please let me know in the comments if you've ever gotten your nose on this fragrance, because I can't be the only one that is absolutely obsessed with this one. This is considered to be an amber woody fragrance. This is a fragrance that I recommend to be used exclusively during the spring and summer seasons. This is not one that I pull during the fall or winter seasons at all. But during the spring and summer, it is hard for me to not pull this almost every day. This is also very versatile because I can dress it up or I can dress it down. To me, this is truly a unisex fragrance. There is no lean here to my nose. This is truly unisex. This fragrance is addictive and it's also like sexy. It opens with quite a bit of fruitiness and woodiness. It is very aromatic and there's like this greenness to it that makes it so interesting and perfect for the spring and summer seasons. You also pick up on an earthy quality courtesy of the note of moss. But even though it has that earthy quality with that mossy feel, it's also fresh and a tad sweet. This is a fragrance that I promise you, whenever I finish this bottle, I will be buying another and another and another. This is an incredible fragrance. And it's also one that for some reason, when you wear it, it makes a statement. The performance is impeccable and it is just such an incredible fragrance to have for the spring and summer seasons. Now pause the video for a minute and tell me, what do you think will be my number 1 Bond number 9 fragrance? Okay, so coming in at number 1 is Nolita. Nolita is considered a floral woody musk fragrance. This fragrance, guys, oh my goodness. Oh. 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 You must tell me in the comments if you've ever gotten your nose on Nolita. This fragrance, guys, it is such a compliment getter. This fragrance opens with the most beautiful citrusy feel and a good combination of florals. There's some white florals which you can immediately distinguish, but there's some other florals. I dare say they're yellow florals, but it's like a mix of all of these florals. It is quite musky with an amber quality to it, and you start to pick up on some powderiness around mid-journey to the dry down. It is also like soft, spicy, not very spicy, but there's like a softness to the spiciness, and it's also sweet. At the dry down, I get the most beautiful and smooth combination of florals with a rose in the background of all of the other florals, a touch of like an animalic note, and that powderiness, which is just heavenly. This is a fragrance that I personally pull any season of the year, day or night, and for any occasion. I also find this fragrance to be very versatile, not just because I can use it any time of the year for day or night or for any occasion, but it's also very easy to layer it with other fragrances from your collection. I highly recommend this fragrance, and I am absolutely, needless to say, obsessed and in love. This is another one that I will always have in my fragrance collection. To me, this fragrance definitely leans feminine, without a doubt. I don't consider this to be a very unisex fragrance. And do I see a man using this fragrance? Not really. This is also a fragrance that performs very well. I get moderate projection and moderate sillage from it, and I get a good 6 to 7 hours before it becomes a skin scent. This is also a fragrance that, to get that type of performance that I just explained to you, I typically overspray. All in all, I have to tell you that I just absolutely love this fragrance. And I think that if you get your nose on it, you will fall in love too. Please let me know if you've ever tried it. All right, guys, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I hope that you enjoyed my ranking my Bond number 9 fragrances. I really did not enjoy the process of having to select one over the other because I truly love all 10. And what I find is that each one covers a specific purpose within my fragrance wardrobe. So if I wake up and I feel like, oh, today's like a Bond number 9 fragrance kind of day, and I'm feeling a certain kind of way, or I have a certain event or place to be or thing to do, I always kind of know which one is the one that fits best, if you know what I mean. So all of these fragrances are really special to me. But anyway, let me know in the comments section if you have any favorites, if you've tried any of the Bond number 9 fragrances, and I will see you in the next video.